good. All right. Morning. All right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the March Board of Zoning Appeals for the town of Fortville. I'd like to call the meeting to order at 6:31 p.m. With that, Sarah, if you'd please walk us through roll call, please.
Sturdivant,
Here.
Carpenter,
Here.
Simmons,
Here.
Jacobs, Murphy.
Here. Thank you, Sarah. If everyone would please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Again, welcome everybody to the March meeting of the Board of Zoning Appeals. Next on our agenda, item number 3, approval of the meeting agenda. Adam, do we have any modifications to the agenda or can we approve as presented?
You can approve as presented.
Wonderful. Thank you. I'd look for a motion to approve the meeting agenda.
Make a motion to approve the meeting agenda as presented.
Second?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor? Aye. All right, agenda approved. Moving right along. Number 4, commission to consider approving minutes of the February 2026 meeting. Has everybody had a chance to review the meeting minutes? Any changes, modifications needed? If not, I'd look for a motion to approve the February 2026 meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the February 26, 2026 meeting minutes, Fortville Board of Zoning Appeals.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor? Aye. All right, February meeting minutes approved. Thank you, everybody. Number 5, our public hearing section of the meeting this evening. We've got one case before us, case number variance 06-2025-108 West Ohio Street. This is a continuation from the February 2026 meeting. Just as a reminder, this is consideration to allow a setback variance for a home addition and expanded garage at 108 West Ohio Street with a setback at 0 feet at the east property and 0 feet at the south property line. Adam, I know since this is a continuation, we probably don't have a full presentation of the case. Is there anything that will be presented from the town this evening, or will we just hear from the petitioner and the public?
Well, the situation is that in front of you is are the building elevations that you had asked for at the last meeting. And it shows a couple of different options that they've presented on how they could widen the house. From a staff perspective, the only problem is that most importantly, we don't have a survey. And if you recall, as part of your motion, you had asked for a survey. And unfortunately, it's a really critical piece of information, frankly, even more important than how the house is going to be widened, because I would think we need to know where the addition is going to sit in reality. And that was one of the biggest issues, is that part of the house, the south side of the house, the rear, based on an older survey, showed that it was potentially already on somebody else's property. So what I would recommend is that you either continue the case to next month or deny if you're inclined to do that. The applicants are here, and it might be wise to hear from them, see what they have to say, what their side of the story is. So that's it for me.
Okay. Thank you, Adam. Any questions for Adam before we have the petitioner come up? No.
So just to clarify, the visual you gave us here, the architectural site plan, that border that's not based on a survey or anything like that. That is strictly just the creation of the architectural firm that put this together.
Correct. To my knowledge, what they need to have, in my view, would be a boundary survey.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Then we will move along to the portion of the public hearing where the petitioner may speak on behalf of the case. Is there anything that you'd like to say on behalf of the case? Would you like me to bring the microphone? Okay. If you could say your name and how you represent the case, that would be fantastic,
My
please.
name is Joe Huck. This is a home that I bought for my daughter. And when we bought the home, it had a 2-car driveway. And the difference that we have today about the survey is the property line is the driveway. The previous owner bored a driveway to the property line. Nobody needs to look for it. It's there. It's constant. It will never change. So my architect comes on and I hire him to represent my needs. And that's what you have in front of you. He said, there's only 2 options. Well, 3. 1, deny. 2, approve with 2 different possible options. And that's a 14-foot car garage door and a 16-foot door. And then he also told us how far from the property line each of those 2 door options were going to be outside wall to property line. He did a great job, in my opinion, but if we need more, we need more. And I'm going to be happy to provide what is necessary. I'm not trying to skirt what's necessary. But I was led to believe the day I bought this house, there's a gigantic driveway. I think this guy's in the concrete business. I mean, it's perfect. It's right on the property line. It's 20-foot wide driveway and a little bitty garage. And I'm like, that'll be a no-brainer. Wrong. This is not a no-brainer. So what I hope is that we can get an approval and we'll supply whatever is necessary from architectural drawings to survey. Our neighbor to the north also said at the last meeting that her survey did not show an encumbrance of any kind of our lot on that property. And so I thought that we would already have that, but apparently we don't. I'll have to get that. But we're willing to do whatever we need to do. We did a heck of a job on the house itself, and we think that it would be appropriate to provide a variance of the 10-foot setback to be maybe 3 feet setback. And I asked for 1.5 setback originally, but now we're going down this road and I'm fine with that road. So please just tell us what would be required. And we'll do it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any questions for the petitioner? Thank you. I think at this point, I mean, to be frank, I think I tend to agree with Adam that I think we need the boundary survey before we can approve, just because there's the question of the encumbrance. Having this body approve construction potentially on an adjacent property sets a dangerous precedent in town. And I think we need to rule that out before we can move forward in good conscience. So just a perspective, a comment. That doesn't mean a denial tonight, but I think at a minimum, I would be looking at a continuance to make sure we have that. I think we need to make sure we've got paperwork in order and everything is.
Be happy to. And if that's what's required for permitting, the architect thought, oh, they got to just say 3 foot it is. That means that wide door. And then I would supply a building permit application with everything on it. But if we want the survey, I paid $1,000 for what I got. And so I can't imagine what it's going to cost to get a full set of drawings and a boundary survey, but we'll do that. That's how important it is to protect the investment that we made. And I'll make sure to do that if we're granted the opportunity.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the petitioner?
I do have a question.
Sure.
Is there any way your architect can draw the garage to your adjacent neighbors so that we can see the proximity in reference to your building addition?
Yes, we'll have the adjacent buildings dropped onto the drawing as well, so you can see how far the adjacent building is from this building. You'll be able to see everything, and I'll have it prepared by the same architect.
All right, thank you. Appreciate that context. Now we have time in our agenda for the public to comment for or against the case. If anybody is here or on Zoom, I think we're on Zoom, that would like to speak on behalf of the case, we'd welcome you up at the microphone. Oh, if you don't. Okay, that's perfectly fine. No need to. Can we have you just to the microphone just to catch it for the record? Sorry.
Hi, Christy Simmons, 244 North Main Street. So Joe, I guess I have a question about, you didn't have a survey when you bought the house? So do you have a copy of that? I mean, because my survey is, I wouldn't think it would change, is from 2013 when I was purchasing the home. And after discussing with Adam, from a building perspective, there is no encroachment. However, it does appear that the sidewalk that goes like around the garage is actually on my property. And so already. And so then that's because of just the way the house is set up. You know, our home is set back on our property line. So then that's kind of part of the relevancy that we do believe that there is some encroachment, but it's small and it's not been a bothersome. It's a sidewalk and I can still get around my property. I think when you say the 3 feet, this is what we were debating on the last time, then what would the measurements be between our garages? Do you have that calculation?
See exactly what the distance is.
Okay.
From garage to garage. We were more focused on the property line, which was
Okay.
more the issue. But if we want to see how far it is from adjacent building, it will be a perfect drawing for it once they do that.
Well, I think that's probably the premise, right? Because our buildings are so close together, that's the concern. Because if you're building so close to the property line, then you're having building to building. And you know, we also want to be able to access our properties from our own yards and that kind of thing. So I think that's where I'm an amenable neighbor. It's just more of really truly understanding what that differential will be between both buildings and is it safe?
Yes, thank you, Rob. Thank you have a copy that shows no encumbrance, and we would love to have that find its way to the record.
I sent it to Adam. I'm happy to share it. It's from 2013. I know, Jessica, yep.
So just to be clear, your survey does not show an encumbrance with this dwelling, that the sidewalk is on your property.
And
From
the
what I can
sidewalk
see.
is not part of the project. It's going to be removed and discarded. It's an abandoned sidewalk that runs around the back of our property.
Close is that?
And it will
Here.
Yeah, Adam, it's oblique aerial photo. Looks to be slide 5.
Yeah. So based on this oblique, on this image, though, the expansion then would jump onto the property.
Would you go back 2 slides to the
So that's what we're gonna
photograph
do.
there?
Here, let me show you this here. This was the survey that was originally provided by Mr. Huck. Actually, this is what he provided as part of this application, which it didn't look very clear what was going on with Lot 1. But this was the drawing that we pulled from his addition permit. And so I don't have the full context of this survey. It looks like it was a survey that was done at some point. And like we talked about at the last meeting, it looks like the house is over 2.5 feet onto the neighbor's property, Christie's property, and then there's also a sidewalk there.
I see. So there is building.
At least just based
It's
on,
hard to see.
right.
It's hard to tell.
Yeah.
That's why.
So that's why,
Look close, yeah.
you know, I mean, yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't know the full history of how that came to be. I think there's a possibility that this might have all been under one ownership at one time in the 50s. Yeah, but again, when it got subdivided, that would have been eons ago. And how they came up with that geometry, I have no idea. But I think that, in my view, the purpose of the survey would be to see if this is accurate, what this is showing. If you trust that this is accurate, then what I'm reading here is 2.5 feet onto the property with the house itself. And then beyond that, it looks like there's a sidewalk over here. So, and the only other, two questions I had for the benefit of the board is, are the property corners staked? Do you have Okay, so how are you confident that the edge of the driveway is the property line on that? Did he say what he was basing that on? Okay. And then I guess the second question I have is, since we're getting into very technical details on these very small dimensions, are the dimensions that he's showing, whether it's 3 feet or larger in the 3 or 4 feet, is that from the property line to the eave, or is that from the property line to the foundation? Okay.
Which is about 1 additional foot.
Okay.
Outward.
Okay. We do have time in the agenda if you'd like to come back up and say anything else, respond to, we had a good conversation there. So if there's nothing else to add, then you don't have to get up, but just want to. Okay. All right. We do have time in the agenda for public officials. Any comment? Shaking the head? No. All right. Then I would look for a motion this evening for variance 06-2025, 108 West Ohio Street, to approve with conditions, deny, or continue this case.
I'd make a motion to continue case number variance 06-2025, 108 West Ohio Street to our next meeting in April.
Real quick, if we're going to continue with a couple conditions, should we note those in the continuance? Okay, so I think we got two conditions.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Survey. Completion of a boundary survey, and then on the drawings to add the adjacent buildings so that both the property owner and the board can evaluate the proximity to other properties.
Yes.
Okay, so those two conditions.
Yes.
Do we have a second?
I'll make a motion for a second of the continuation.
All right, any discussion? All right, all in favor of continuance? Aye. Opposed?
Hey,
3 out of 5, so we do have we've got a majority, so the case will be continued to the April meeting of the BZA with conditions as stated for the boundary survey and the adjacent buildings on the drawings. That will close the public hearing portion of the meeting this evening. Number 6, board comments. Any comments this evening? Got none? Appreciate everybody. Appreciate the time this evening. Staff comments.
No, nothing for me.
Okay.
Unless you have questions or comments on anything.
Anything for Adam? Sarah. Okay. Then I would look for a motion to adjourn the meeting this evening.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor? Aye. All right, meeting adjourned at 6:51. Thank you, everybody. Boiler up.
How do you have to run?
Thanks,
anything
Alex.
like that?